Hello everyone, how's your guys' day going? Mine's going pretty good. This is a more comprehensive video. It's a post-DUAD deck profile of Fiendsmith Yubel, a deck I have shown up on the channel. Uh, this is an update of the list, not the list I posted to YouTube, but a different list that you can find on my YDO Pro deck. Playing a small Fiendsmith packet, especially that's particularly for people who can't afford Requiem or Lacrima. Those cards can be pretty expensive right now, I know. So I thought I would remove them from the deck list. And, I did play Phoenix variant. This deck I've probably been playing pretty much this entire format. Um, Post Duad, of course. I don't know, Duad came out not super recently, but more recently I was comfortable with. There were a few cards in there that I didn't really like, and I didn't think about playing them in this deck, and then I kind of thought about it more and decided to play them, give them a try. They've been really good. We were able to take out 4 of the Garnets, so as well. I'm going to go through this deck, but we're also going to discuss this format, the next format we're going into, after when we get the new list, slash when we get the new decks, right? When we get the K9 stuff, yummy, and of course, the, sorry, like Vanquish Soul K9, of course, we know is going to be good, but, how does this deck play really wrongly? Anyway, let's get into it. We're still playing the same Yubels. We're playing the 2 Spirits, 1 Normal, and 1 Terra Incarnate. We're still not playing the Nightmare. We're of course playing our 3 Samsara D-Lotus. Still the best normal summon in the deck, right? Well, best or second best, it really depends on what you're trying to do. So I think that this card is, of course, really good. Um, I think seeing this along with like 2 hand traps and extender is really the best place you want to be. Even the other best normal summon in the deck, which I'll get to later, is I think worse with extenders. I think Samsara D-Lotus I think plays the best with extenders versus the other one, which I'm getting it. So I'll get to it in a little bit, I promise. But that card works worse with extenders, and I'll explain why when we get to it. Playing 1 Gruesome Grave. Um, just got an ulti yet, or ulti, just got a super, so very nice. I was originally playing 2 of it, but got down to 1. Still feels good. It felt good at 2 to use it on turn 3 or turn 4, depending on if you want first, second. But I really just like this card at 1. I think every time I saw it in my opening hand, I was like, it's okay. It's not exactly where you want to be. It's okay for OTKing though. But if I'm OTKing, then I only need the 1. Now, the best starter in the deck, Nightmare Throne, adds any 0/0 Fiend from deck to hand. Then it also, of course, recycles or extends you with your Yubels if you Yubel leaves your field, right? And it's also Crossout Designator. I think this is the most powerful part of Nightmare Throne. It's the ability to activate Nightmare Throne, destroy a spirit from deck, summon normal Yubel, and then you can immediately fuse into Phantom. That's no necessary material. So I absolutely think that this is like the best card in the deck because it's crossout. It negates a hand trap, essentially. It's assuming you already have combo. Playing 1 Nightmare Pain is your set off the Spirit. Right. You could play a card called Mature Chronicle, but I think Mature Chronicle is for people who there's no reason to go that far above, right? It's not the super poly that's going to win you the game. It's going to because if you go through your normal combo that actually works with the fortune, it means that you're already winning the game. You're already setting up 5 negates. It's not the 6 negate that wins you the game. I'm playing a terraforming, of course, to find our Nightmare Throne. I'm sorry if the camera looks a little bit dark. Today, for some reason, that's happening. I don't know how to fix it. Playing a 1/1. 1/1 just summons from deck your Samsara D-Lotus. Very good card overall. Playing 3 copies of Beckoning Beast. This is like the quote-unquote free agent fiends. These are the fiends that aren't exactly part of either main archetype, but are important for the deck. The fact it's 0/0 is, of course, good. Adds a card that mentions Uriah and gives you an extra normal summon. Or Uriah, Raviel, or Haman. We're playing 3 copies of opening the spirit gates. The search chiller. So the search is opening and opening search this. We're actually not playing a Chaos Summoning Beast because I think adding extra Garnet is just not worth it. Um, I think that because of the way this deck is built, you're so likely to see a Extender that it doesn't matter, right? Because normally opening Spirit Gates add Dark Beckoning out the second opening. Normally that doesn't do any combos really, and unless you play the Summoning Beast, but you don't want to draw Summoning Beast. So in favor of cutting a Garnet, saying, okay, this opening is not by itself combo, but any one of the 15 to 20 extenders in the deck says that now this is full combo, and you were just adding it for no reason. And then now you're adding follow up instead of a card that doesn't do anything. 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. Just summons a level 3 Fiend on normal summon from deck. So here's the thing. Now, before this, we were playing Fiendish Rhino Warrior. This card sends a Fiend monster on summon from deck to graveyard. That's all it does. Or on summon, sorry, when it's set to graveyard. So this would be your target to summon off Tour Guide. However, a new card released in DUAD, and our target off the Tour Guide. I assume most people don't know what this card does. Buyos, the Dawn's Light. It's a level 3 Fiend, it's a dark attribute, and importantly, it has 1000 attack, which means you can look it off around Mirage if you normal it. However, you're probably not normal it. This card has one of my favorite card mechanics where it cares about the columns in which other cards are activated. So while it's on field, your monsters in these 2 zones, so your left and rightmost zones, cannot be destroyed by card effects. Now from hand, you can summon it from hand by targeting a fiend monster you control, and then summoning it, which of course is good. And if it's sent to graveyard, it'll add the next card in our deck. This is Muni in the Sky. This card is really good. It performs a fusion summon by shuffling fiend or fairy monsters from the graveyard into the deck. We'll get to our 2 targets later. Those are going to be an extra. We'll get them in and I'll show you them off. The other things, you can add stuff from graveyard to hand by discarding a fiend or fairy monster. So very strong. These 4 cards took out 4 garnets. Actually, I have them next to me. So the 4, well, maybe not garnets, but cards we've worth playing. Is a Fiendish Rhino Warrior, a Rikea, a Fiendsmith Engraver, and a Gruesome Grave. Because I was playing the variant of this deck where you are using the Engraver as a card to send off of a Air Leader made off a hard made sequence to make Caesar. Now, this card helps you make Caesar. I'll show you how later. And Gruesome Grave, I already explained why I'm not playing the second Gruesome Grave. Rikea and Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Fiendish Rhino Warriors are summoned off Tour Guide. So now we have a better summon off Tour Guide and this extender in hand. And Rikea was a card that was like a card I could theoretically side deck out. Going second for either traps or board breakers. I kind of played it as a fill-in spot. Alright, looking back to the main part of this profile. Let's get to Unchained. We're playing 3 copies of Aruha. It's probably the Unchained monster you want to see in hand the most, because I think it's the most modular. I think that like the other cards don't feel as good with the Yubels as this card does. 2 copies of Sharvara. Sharvari can just summon itself. It's the set. It's really good. As I said, this card's the best. Doesn't mean this card's not bad. I'd play 3 if I could. I actually have a 3rd next to me. Hopefully on this next ban list, you know. Playing 1 Sarama, 1 Shayama, and 1 Abominable Unchained Soul. These are the 3 kind of garnets. But this one's not really garnet, so now you're kind of down to 2 instead of like 6 before. So that, yeah, this deck definitely breaks less. At least the thing I will say is I'm glad that they're not short. So if you draw them, it doesn't matter. But it was saying. In fact, I actually had a game where my opponent Molcharmed me, Fool Lust, and I was able to do really well because I actually drew both of these guys, and I was able to summon them from hand. So really saved my opponent from 2 draws, and I was still able to make a pretty decent board, and I won that game actually. Three of Abomination's Prison just adds an Unchained card. It's consistency, and if it's, of course, has the standard Unchained spell trap effect, or if it's set and destroyed, you can summon an Unchained from back. Two Prison, two Escape. I actually considered going up to three Escape, one Prison, but I think that it's best to have two and two, because I don't think five traps doesn't feel right. It feels like you draw like, you really don't want to see double trap. Double trap is okay sometimes, but you really want to see like a trap card and a combo, or you want to see trap card monster. So it felt kind of grindy to play 3-3 or 2-3. I think four is the right number to consistently see one. That's just because the prisons can add chamber or escape. Escape is a pop, and chamber is a summon, and they have the standard effect to summon Unchained effect. I just realized I didn't mention that. And the rest of this deck is not engine, so we actually have quite a lot of non-engine space. We're playing three of the Fool Loss. I did get my third, let's go. One of these is actually a platinum, so I'm very glad I was able to pick that up for cheap. Playing two Bestials. I think the Bestials, we're gonna have to talk about the Bestials when I get to the part where I discuss after we get Alliance or Justice Hunters, but when we get to that part, I will discuss the changes to the sequence I plan on making. Three Ghost Bell because it's good against GWC06, and of course, it's good against the recurrent effect of Mitsurugis. You can negate Mirror with it. I had a game where I won the game because I knew my opponent didn't have Ritual in hand. They had three cards in hand. I know one was a Habakiri that they had already used the once per duel on. Or sorry, I knew one was a Ame. They already had activated Habakiri in hand that turn, and they had the Mirror. And they go Mirror. I Ghost Spelled because I'm like, okay, there's no card in their deck that does it other than a Saji. They didn't have Saji, and I won the game because of it. So Ghost Spell is really important. I normally I probably could have saved for the resummon effect, but now I have to discard. Three copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. For the the droll, that's pretty much mandatory this format. The One of Talents, man, I hope we don't see this card anymore. I hope that after the ban, I never have to see up a copy of Talents again. Um, you know, I mean, the number of times just Talents look at hand, right? Like get like Ash on your starter, Talents look at hand, take their one starter, and you win the game. It happens way too much. And three Imperm. Imperm's kind of in a kind of weak spot right now, especially against Malice, because they can just make Link Revo. But overall, it actually still feels fine, despite my hesitation about the card. And then we'll let you go to extra. So extra, we're playing the one Contact Fuse Phantom. Very good card. And now we're playing two targets for Shadow's Light. Aerial Leader, which just sends a Fiend monster from deck to graveyard, which means it's better copy of the Fiendish Rhino Warrior. And then, of course, it summons itself by banishing two Fiends. The level 5 or higher Fiends that share the same attribute. Playing this new card, Loose the Dawn's Dusk, or the Dusk's Dawn. So requires three Fiend or Fairy monsters that are in your graveyard. So it's pretty much, it's summoned with Immunity in the sky. And what this card does is, it has the same effect where the monsters in these two zones cannot be destroyed while it's on field. Then, you can target a card your opponent controls to destroy it, and then send a Fiend monster from your deck to your graveyard. So it's really good going second, and its extension going second, very important. It's it's the card that I think makes this deck almost as good going second as it is going first, right? The ability to make like a negate immediately with Phantom from your hand. The fact that you play so many hand traps, of course, make it good going second. This card really helps going second. The Unchained cards are already good going second. Anyway, I can really like this deck just because it feels like going first or going second, you do play almost exactly the same. Speaking of going second, we have the Typhon. Uh, Man, the difference between this card and Master Duel and TCG is insane. In Master Duel, people, it has like a 10% win rate. I feel like every time I've made Typhon in TCG, I win the game off of it. It's a card that comes up one in maybe 50 games. That the games that come up, it is. I mean, Typhon bounce a Mitsurugi. They can't activate the effect of the graveyard. for instance, right? So then we have our Behudris, of course, it's the Omni. It's an Omni negate. It's an integral part of the end board. On top of DD Waking High Caesar. Of course, it's the double spell trap negate. That's would summon a monster, or a monster effect that would summon one. And we have Link monsters. This is Fiend Link, probably is a better way to say this than anything. Almirage, this is the best card in your entire deck because it links off and freeze. Importantly, it can link off Buna. So this just lets you normal it and link it off with this. And then if you have another card, you can extend further. But it is important that you're playing it. This card also lets you link off like a Dark Beckoning Beast if it gets negated. Playing, of course, one Lord Yama, one Soul of Rage, and one Anguish. This is it for our Unchained monsters. In our previous build, we were playing 2-2-1. I think that made the extra deck, like, we lost options in the extra deck by doing that. And I actually think that was unnecessary. Especially considering the fact that we added the Dawn's Dust. Playing one Muckracker, one Dark, and one SP. These are all act as either extension or board breaking in a different way. Dark is both extension and board breaking against Mitsurugi. Assuming you have either have dealt with prayers or something, summoning a body from graveyard, link it to SP, or using Almirage to link it to SP. I think that is one of the most important parts about Almirage, is the fact that it's a link monster. So something like normal Dark Beckoning Beast can translate into an SP, but assuming your opponent doesn't choose to interact. And that's a great way to fade out interaction. And of course, Muckracker is important for a combo I'll show up later. One Nightmare Unicorn and one Access Code. So assuming that you have to make SP going first or second, if you're going second, break influence board, and then you have to make a copy of the Unchained Soul of Rage. You want something to link into, Nightmare Unicorn just happens to be that card. And also, I think sometimes the spinning back to deck is important against Malice, since you don't want to, like, SP Banish the Malice name doesn't really do anything, versus Unicorn Shuffle Malice name, it does a lot, switch against the links. And Access Code Talker is it helps OTK, because this deck actually can struggle with OTK. Although you'll only ever get 2 pops off of it, because you're all only playing itself and a Yamakush. But everything else is darks. You only get 2 pops. It's also a card that if you aren't Fiend Block off of Anguish, you can Anguish link an opponent's monster into it. So Anguish doesn't just have Translate into Rage. As for the side deck, I think it's pretty simple. It's 3 Nib. Nib's pretty mid this format. I think definitely side deck it, because I think it's decent enough into Malice that you have to play it, especially, well, it's good to pair with another hand trap into Malice. Lancia is actually an FTK against Malice, right? We cross out the Codby and the D-Shifter. You're playing Dimension Shifter as a card. Like, you aren't going to see Dimension Shifter, but you're going to run to stun 1 in every 100 games, and cross out for that is just so important. And I can't think of a 1-of that's better in the extract. 3 Lightnings and a Heartbeast, and then 3 Evenlies. I think that these 6 cards are like my board breaking slots. Absolutely, there's cards like Cosmic Slicer I considered. I think I might test around with Cosmic Slicer more. Xyz's Encore theoretically could work. There are a lot of cards I would consider playing over these slots. These are just my most generic. Replace these 6 cards with whatever board breaker you want to play. But I do think you should be playing a form of board breaker. So I will now show off the new combo. Oh, hunger. So it's tour guide plus any monster to display. So that'll just be our draw. Normally your tour guide and activate the effect. Let's look at you from your deck. Your Bununa, the Dawn's Light. That's 2 monsters that you can link off. Make your Yama. Chainlink 1 Yama, Chainlink 2, your Buna. Got Charvara and Mutiny in the Sky. Activate Muni in the Sky. Guys, 2 Dark Fiends. Make your Area Leader. Activate your Area Leader's effect. Send from deck to graveyard. Your Samsara D Lotus. Link these two. For Muckracker from the Underworld. Muckracker effects. Discard your other card. And summon back your Samsara D Lotus. Now you can of course activate the Lotus effect to summon from deck a copy of Spirit of Yubel. Trigger your Spirit effect, so set a card that mentions Yubel. Set your Nightmare Pain. Activate Nightmare Pain effect, destroying Spirit of Yubel. Add from deck to hand, Gruesome Gravestormer. Activate your Spirit of Yubel effect. Summon OG Yubel. Activate Gruesome Gravestormer effect. Summon itself. Destroy Yubel. Trigger Yubel effect. Summon Terror Incarnate. Now, you have the prerequisite amount of materials on field. You can contact use on field, and you're in grave. Make Phantom of Yubel. Now you can trigger the effect of your Unchained Soul of Shavara, summon itself. Oh, sorry, targeting Muckracker. Destroy Muckracker. And you can now trigger the effect of your Unchained Lord Yama. Summon from your graveyard, Samsara D Lotus. Linked off these two. Make Unchained Soul of Rage. Trigger the effect of your Sharvara. Set Chamber. And you can Chamber, or you can set Escape. It's up to you. Remember that set Escape, you do not have a monster to summon off of the Unchained Soul of Rage. So if you choose to set Escape, then when you destroy your Rage, you can't summon it back, or you have to Rage link into Anguish and destroy it. So you'll miss out on your SP. That was the 1-card Tour Guide combo. Well, 1 card. Because you need it just. And then let's just do the 1-card Samsara combo if you don't know it. Here's Samsara, trigger the effect. From Spirit of Yubel effect, set your Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain effect, destroy this. Search your Gruesome Grave. Trigger the effect of your Spirit of Yubel. Summon normal. Trigger your Gruesome Grave, summon itself, destroy Yubel. Yubel effect. Summon Terror Incarnate. Link. Yama. Trigger Yama first. Touch your sharp bar. And trigger Gruesome Grave. And back Yubel. Trigger. Destroy some. Effect. Oh, I'm so sorry. Before you destroy it, contact these two, your Yubel and Terra Incarnate, or Phantom of Yubel. I got ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Now you can trigger your Sharp Aura, summon, destroy, and fake effects. And now you can summon your OG Yubel. That's your requisite material. Summon Unchained Soul of Rage. And of course, activate the effect. And now you, of your Unchained Soul of Travar and Grave, set Escape from Unchained. And then during the end phase, trigger the Samsara Deloading Lotus to summon itself, and then choose not to tribute a monster with Yubel, send it tribute. And pass on this board. This is pretty much the exact same board as was in the other combo. Except you didn't have to use your Yama. The reason that I said the tour guide build or the tour guide normal summon is better earlier in the video. I know I said I would get to that, but it took me like 20 minutes to do that. But the reason tour guide normal summon is better is because Mutiny in the Sky says that basically if you live turn, so if your opponent is unable to kill you, you can just on the crackback, you can add it to hand and make it discard. Lucy's the Dusk's Dawn. Which, by the way, you can make it using the Area Leader. And then use Mutiny in the Sky to put this back to make Area Leader again. It allows them to loop into each other. But this card's a pop. It's a big guy that can swing over pretty much every... there's not currently a monster that's being played, really, that can't swing over. It can even swing over a... Ameno... Oh my god, I'm sorry. The Ame can just be swung over by this for 300, unless they have a Habakiri on. And then I guess I should let me do the Unchained combo real quick. That'll be the Unchained Traps plus Aruba. Set, activate effect, target, destroy, summon. Activate the effect, summon from deck. Sarama effect, set your trap, and pop the on field. Activate the effect. Rama. Link. Unchained Lord of Yama. Activate the effect to set. It's Chainlink 2. And Chainlink 1 will be your Yama. Set your other trap. And now you can actually add from graveyard to hand your Sharp Art. I want to keep one deck. Activate the effect, destroy your Abominable Prison, and trigger the effect of Abominable Chamber of the Unchained. Now we can summon your Shayama. Into these two. Raise Soul of Rage. And now you trigger your Shayama effect, destroy Soul of Rage, and summon it. This will go Chainlink 1 Soul of Rage, Chainlink 2 Yama. Or, if your set card is Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, instead of the Escape, so if you'd start, basically whichever one you start with. If you start with Escape from Unchained, then you're going to activate your Yama effect here. Otherwise, you're going to not activate it because you will have, instead this will be engraved and you would have this set. You can now summon this back, and of course resolve the Soul Rage effect, and add Saroma to hand. Make your Wave King High Caesar, and you will pass on this board. This board is really good. It's main because you have guaranteed follow up and 4 other cards in hand. 3 other cards in hand. And if you have any of the ways to get an extra body in this deck, then you can keep both traps. Let's do the final combo before we get into the discussion part, which is Samsara D Lotus and a copy of Dark Beacon. It's going to look mostly the same to the 1-card Lotus combo, but we'll see where it deviates. Well, normal Dark Beacon and activate the effect. Grab, force your opening of Spirit Gates, activate opening the Dark Beckoning Beast. Now you have an extra normal for 0/0 Fiend, so you can normal summon your Samsara D Lotus. Trigger a Lotus effect. Summon Spirit of Yubel, and trigger Spirit effect. But you're not Nightmare Pain effect, destroy. Summon Yubel. When you on resolution, but first, of course, out of your Gruesome Grave from hand. Trigger Gruesome Grave, summon itself, destroy Yubel. Trigger Yubel effect. Summon Terra Incarnate. From here, link up the Dark Beckoning Beast, and of course your Terra Incarnate. Make your copy of Yama. Trigger Yama effect. Trigger Sharvar. Third Sharvar. Now you have 2 fiends. Shuffle them to make your Phantom. From here, link off Gruesome Grave, and of course, your Unchained Lord Yama to make Soul Rage. Trigger the effect of your opening of the Spirit Gates here. 1 card. Discarding Dark. Okay. Oh my god, I messed up twice. I'm so sorry. Discard Travar. I thought I messed up the combo and that made me gaslight myself. Summon your Spirit of Yubel. Trigger Gruesome Grave. Summon a fiend from graveyard. And that would be, of course, your Yubel. Overlay to make the Hudris. And I just realized I messed up a second time. When you activate the opening effect to summon, so here, in this board state, you summon your Spirit of Yubel off of opening. You can actually trigger the effect of your Sharvar to set. Escape from Unchained. Now you then trigger the effect of your Gruesome Grave, summon out, of course, Yubel, and overlay for Vahudras Final Breaker of End Times. This represents follow-up and a lot of points of interaction. And then if you want to know how do you like if you draw like for instance if you open Dark Beckoning Beast plus like a Ruha or any of those combos, I would check out my previous video. They're the same as in that video. Nothing has changed, at least in that context, right? Alright. I think it's a good time to get to deck discussion about what I want to change for next format for Justice Hunters. Now, If you guys don't know me or haven't like seen my streams on Yu-Gi-Oh, which I haven't done recently, to be fair, but if you haven't seen those, then you might not know this, but I don't plan on playing very much in next format. I'll probably still go to like a locals every now and then, but I definitely don't plan on going to any YCSs or WCQs or anything like that. And the reason for that is I just don't think next format is fun. I don't find K9 fun. I don't find any of that. Which I think I'm going to discuss in a different video, but I do want to talk about the implication of K9 for this specific. First of all, Droll Knockword kills this deck. It is an unfortunate consequence of playing a deck like this. You will lose Droll. There'll be some games where your opponent's going to have Droll, you're not going to have a way to make Phantom before your first search, and you're going to lose. Second off, a card that is really bad, good and bad for this deck is your Ash Blossoms. Ash Blossom is cross-out designator for the Milk Armies, which really all three Milk Armies are good against you. If you open the Unchained stuff, the specifically Aurelia really is really good into you, but even the other ones are still really good. Ash Blossom does negate those, but biggest but for this is Ash is bad in this format. There's nothing you want to Ash Blossom in this format. And so I probably will be taking these out. I do plan on unsleeving them soon. Um, Personally, I think that either I will unsleeve them or they will replace the copies of Lancios or Nibs in my side decks. That's going to depend on the ban list. Unfortunately, I can't give any concrete information now because we don't have the ban list. Maybe I'll make another video when we know the ban list about what I'm changing. But these could go in side deck. If I keep them in main, I'll just not use them against Vanquish Soul because the K9 cards punch these so hard. Like Ash actively makes the rest of your hand traps bad. Although people aren't playing Ash, that's really nice because Ash on a D-Lotus can be really devastating. Let's see what else is there I want to discuss about next format. Right, depending on how they handle Mitsu, the Bystials could come out, or they could stay in. Once again, there's no way for me to really know until I see the format. Until we see the bandits. I think that we might even go up depending on what they have, right? Now, as for our K9 Vanquishable matchup, it's okay. If they do not get to Azuna turn 1, I think it's pretty good. The suck is really annoying if they make Honor Arc, of course. And the steal can be very obnoxious. The ability for Holy Sleuth Steal. That is the one card I think Ash Blossom is really good against, is ashing on a Holy Soul during your first turn. But I think that is the one situation where I like this one. Every other situation, I think Ash is, but that's also Ash just asking as a way to blank an interaction. And I think that there are other cards that do that. I think if you were going to play a card like Ash, Impulse almost feels really good. I think that the only thing that's stopping Impulse is the fact that it doesn't stop the armies. I know people, one of my good friends is going to play Yummy, and they're not playing Purge in it. They're bad. Purge just doesn't actually do enough this format to justify its inclusion in a deck list. In next format, I do think either Imperm is going to feel either really bad or really good. It's going to come down to when you Imperm, do they have a K9 monster, or Imperming on the Yummy Link one is really good. Sadly, you can't Imperm any of the names, of course, which does suck. I wish you could. Improving any of the names will lose you the game because you are not stopping them from hitting field spell. Sometimes if they normal summon something like a lolly or a cookie, then you really do just want to hope that the imperm on the link one is good enough. The problem is it places, so you can't even ash that. I wish you could, if you could place or add to hand, like you can ash Spirit of Yubel because it adds hand or places. So if you could ash that effect, that'd be really good, but you can't. Is there anything else I want to talk about before I? Oh, right. What's this deck's matchup? Your Reiko Soul matchup, I said, okay. It really does depend on how you play around Izuna, which attributes they open, which, I mean, always is the thing with Reiko Soul. Sometimes they just won't open the right attributes and they won't have consistent ways to get to them. How's this deck's matchup against Mitsurugi? Really good, actually. The Mitsurugi matchup, I think, is one that is hard for a lot of decks, but I think specifically, our hand trap choice is really good against that. And Dawn's Light is really good against Mitsu because you can summon it and it will protect your board. from the board wipe. Um, but against Ryzeal is pretty bad. Once again, I don't want to say anything about the quote unquote leaks, right? You know what theoretically could get hit, right? And I don't want to say that guy's right or wrong. And the reason I say that is because he also predicted the last ban list. He was right about some of it. He was wrong about some of it. I believe he didn't say I believe he didn't say that a bit was going to be banned, which is arguably the biggest hit on that list. So not mentioning it is pretty crazy if it was. So I once again ban list. Okay. Anyway, I think that is going to be it for this video. There are no really cards in Justice Centers you can play. Oh, I guess you could play the canines. Yeah, if we don't know the rarity of the canine stuff yet, of course, but when we do, I'll have a more accurate placement. If you play them or not, right? Because in the end, this deck is really cheap. I was able to get the entire like everything I added to this deck that like it was $100 last time. It's even cheaper now. So most of the cards in it are cheaper. And the only thing that was added since last time I showed off this deck was the Fool Losses that you don't need to play. But Fool Losses are like 40, so this deck is about was $100 last time I showed off. It's about 110 now because everything else has gone down. And I was able to literally pick up this entire core for free just off of people at my locals who happen to fold them because these cards are worth nothing, right? The Dawn's Light and the Beauty in the Sky. All these cards came in common or rare, and then I think this card came in like ultra. Or it's either ultra or super, I forget. But they would pick these up for literally free. They don't change anything. Okay, and you just take out 4 garnets from the deck. Right. Well, I will be signing off. However, there will be another video posted today or tomorrow, where I just discuss the new format, my grievances with it, and why I am so negative about the current state of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I do think that I want to talk about it as a semi-competitive player who I think understands casual players. I think I can give a unique perspective. But I hope that you guys have a great day. And honestly, maybe for the last time for a little bit, this was a video, one of them of all time. Maybe I'll focus more on Master Rule. I do want to stop. I want to do something other than just the deck profiles, because I do find deck profiles fun. It's just, sometimes you want to do something else, right? All right. Well, all of you have a good day, and I'll see you guys.